House Republicans, who on one hand love to pretend as though they're concerned about the migrant crisis, plan to reject a compromise with the Senate on border policy. Now, in fact, one Republican made clear that they do not want to give President Biden a win that can improve his approval numbers in an election year, and we'll get to him in a moment. But first, let's get to the meat of the matter, the heart of the story. House Republicans say that they would only accept a border deal that resembles the hardline immigration bill that passed their chamber last year. They passed it in July. It's known as HR 2. Now, Senate Democrats and the White House strongly oppose this plan. In fact, they call it a non-starter. Now, why? HR 2, known officially as the Secure the Border Act of 2023, would entail a broader rewrite of the country's immigration laws, including curtailing the ability of migrants to seek asylum in the United States and forcing the continued construction of a wall on the border. Now, HR 2 received 0 Democratic votes in the House, but it did pass the House considering that Republicans control that chamber. Democrats called the legislation cruel and anti-immigrant, and Biden promised to veto it. So it was dead on arrival. If the president says he's gonna veto it, even if you get Democrats in Congress on board, it's gonna make its way to President Biden and he's gonna veto it. You have to work with your colleagues across the aisle on this issue. And at this point, you have the migrant crisis impacting major Democratic cities. So there is interest in finally passing immigration reform. But if you have two sides that are unwilling to compromise, then we're gonna keep falling in this disastrous situation in which no solutions they come up with no solutions, and the problem continues to be a problem. Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson made it very clear during a recent interview with Jake Tapper that it's either his way or the highway. Either Senate Democrats and the president agree to HR 2, or else nothing's gonna happen. Let's watch.
You're at the border today, and I presume you're seeing a very dire situation. Hardworking border agents, who can't do their jobs with what they have. They need more money, they need more colleagues, they need more beds for asylum seekers, they need more funding. How come the House has not yet touched this $14 billion supplemental request from the Biden administration? The White House is hammering you on it. Why not take it up and help these individuals?
This is a catastrophe down here. And what the White House is proposing is more money to process and allow more illegals into the country. We need to do the opposite of that. And this is, you don't need to take my word for it. Listen to the deputy chief of the US Border Patrol who was with us last night, and he told us in his own words, he said, it's as if I'm at an open fire hydrant. I don't need more buckets to dump the water. He said, I need to turn the flow off.
Some people are saying, why not pass the $14 billion supplemental bill that President Biden has put before you to at least try to help with some of these issues?
That won't solve any of the problems I just articulated. Right.
So the supplemental request from Biden, as you heard in that video, would provide $14 billion toward the nation's southern border. It would allow for the hiring of more officials in order to hear and process the asylum claims and make a decision about whether individuals who are claiming asylum can either stay or they have to go. It would also provide more personnel at the border because at the moment, Border Patrol doesn't have the manpower to deal with the massive influx of migrants who are coming to the border. And so they talk about how that's a security concern on one hand, but then when they have an opportunity to do something about it by passing the $14 billion that's been requested by Biden, they say, no, it's not going to single-handedly reform our broken immigration system, so we do not agree to that. And I really do think that that is the wrong way to go. You can pass the supplemental funding for the border while also working on immigration reform, and you're gonna have to work with your colleagues across the aisle. You're gonna have to work with Democrats and vice versa. It's just that we have a broken government, and both sides seem to wanna obstruct any legislation that can improve the situation. And finally, I wanna go to Representative Troy Nehls from Texas, because he just said the quiet parts out loud, and I think it's so toxic. He says, quote, let me tell you, I'm not willing to do too damn much right now to help a Democrat and to help Joe Biden's approval rating. I will not help the Democrats try to improve this man's dismal approval ratings. I'm not going to do it. Why would I? Chuck Schumer has had HR 2 on his desk since July, and he did nothing with it. Cenk.
Yeah. So first, the fun stuff. Our stage manager Edwin made a good point. He's like, it's a catastrophe down here, and you see behind him like this beautiful park. Like catastrophes that you're not having a picnic there. Okay, this now leads to a halfway serious point, which is I hate the talking point of he hasn't been at the border. Like, what is, guys? Oh, the 60 of us went to the border and looked down. We couldn't even see a line. There's no border.
No.
There's no border.
Can I tell you something though? In that same interview, Mike Johnson was like, me and a bunch of other Republicans, we're here at the border, and Jake Tapper jumps in and says, well, Biden visited the border too. He did it last year. He's like, oh, well, we've been here for several days. Yeah. Congratulations. Can you please work on legislation? Yeah, actually get back to Washington and actually pass bills. That would be actually relevant to stopping the flow of undocumented immigrants. Look, bills that have the chance to pass, by the way. Yeah. Not bills that are meant to virtue signal to the far right in your constituency. Like, let's just keep it real. So, last thing on that portion of it is, so Biden was supposed to stay there a couple of days staring at some dirt. Like, how does that help? How does that help? It's nothing but a photo op. I hate that the media plays along with it. Oh, have you stared at the border? Have you stared across the border? And by the way, sometimes Democrats do it too. I hate it. It doesn't make any difference at all. All right, now on to other things. And here we get a mixed bag here. So number one, I listened to the whole interview with Mike Johnson, and now having listened to him a bunch of times, I'm gonna give him, I'm gonna be damning with faint praise, but he doesn't sound like an idiot, which for a Republican is, I know it's a super low bar for any other person, but for a Republican politician, that's a tough bar to cross. But he does cross it. He sounds, whether he's saying something reasonable or not, he sounds reasonable. So I'm giving him that. Now, in terms of substance, he has a good talking point too, and it's real, which is that since Biden has come into office, 7 million undocumented immigrants have come into the country. Now, the Democrats can counter with however many millions crossed the border when Trump was in office. It's not like it went from 0 to 7 million, but it is substantially higher. So we've checked it here. There's no question that it's substantially higher. So we're giving you all the details and all the actual facts without any bias, okay? Now, in terms of what they should do about it legislatively, the thing that matters the most that Anna has been talking about. So number one, HR 2 is draconian, completely right wing. Democrats say it's a no deal, not even a conversation about it. So, but the thing that they're trying to pass on the Senate is actually not that far off from it. It's not. And according to reports about the negotiations, Biden is basically offering up almost identical to the Trump policies, which would be a massive concession. That would basically be a surrender. Guys, yes, thank you for mentioning that. I was gonna get to that, but it's so important for you guys to understand this, right? Because even with the Senate, under the direction of Biden, is willing to concede to a bunch of the provisions that the Republicans want in the House, Republicans are still unwilling to vote in favor of that legislation. So my point in bringing that up and emphasizing it is that they don't actually want to solve the issue. It is a campaigning tool for them. They love to whine about it. They love to visit the border and puff up their chests and virtue signal. This is the right-wing version of virtue signaling. But in terms of actually finding solutions for the issue, they have no interest at all, even if Democrats are willing to not only meet them halfway, go even further than that. Yeah, so second layer of that problem is that they actually not only don't want to pass any bills, they want to make things worse so that Biden loses the re-election effort. So now the congressman that Anna quoted, Troy Nehls there, he just flat out says it. He said it out loud on CNN in public. So there's no ambiguity about it at all. They say we do not want to fix the problem because we would like to blame Biden so that he loses. So they're saying publicly, politics is more important to us than all the
problems we claim we're concerned about at the border. Like Mike Johnson talked a lot about, oh, fentanyl's coming in. Now fentanyl's a giant problem in America. Is it just because of immigration? No, that's a supply and demand issue. It's much more complicated. But if you were super worried about the fentanyl crossing the border, what, you would purposely not provide a solution so that you could benefit politically, personally, but have all those people die from fentanyl overdoses anyway? No, they're weirdly brazen because they think that the Democrats are so incompetent, they won't ever be able to fight back. If I was the Democrats, I'd take that comment by the congressman, I'd put it in ads. And I'd say, look at this. They're admitting they want to play politics. They don't want to solve the border problem at all. So the reason I brought up Biden's concessions earlier is because Biden's pretty much saying, as usual, I surrender. I surrender. I'll take all of Trump's policies. And part of the reason he's doing that is not just because of the border. The moron thinks that, hey, if I give the Republicans everything they want, they'll stop criticizing me over the border. I can't stand how incorrect that strategy is. It's mind-boggling that Democrats in Washington are still that stupid on the politics of it. So last thing though, is that Biden offers them all of this stuff. Why? Part of it is because he wants to surrender. The other part is he's dying to get Israel and Ukraine more aid. And the Republicans are putting it together. And is it aid to help flowers grow in Ukraine and Israel? No, it's money for defense contractors so that Israel can kill more Palestinians and Ukraine can stay in a stalemate. So it's mainly the donors that are driving this. And so, but even as Biden gives them everything, the Republicans now say not only will they not take this deal, but they're now going to start to shut the government down. So that what? Biden can be blamed for the government shutdown.
Yeah, and you're right in that the Democrats are ineffective in fighting back, and Biden's approval rating is certainly suffering from it. For instance, on immigration and border issues, he has not polled well with the American people. 38% approval from the people who were questioned as part of a Harvard CAPS Harris poll last month. Only 38% approve of his handling of immigration. And I would venture to say that the number is going to continue sliding if he doesn't find a way to fight back against the purposeful obstruction by House Republicans who really are using this issue for their campaigning, but don't really care about it at all at the end of the day. I mean, their actions make that obvious to me.
And last thing is, Mike Johnson talked about turning the flow off. The Republicans have no plans to turn the flow off. Their only plans are, let's be more brutal to immigrants. And maybe in their mind, that's turning the flow off, right? But it's incumbent upon the president to come up with a plan. So far, Biden's plan is, why don't I just surrender to the Republicans and do everything Trump used to do? How is that your plan? So I have a plan, for example, and I've talked about this for years, do a Marshall Plan for Latin America. Okay, you might agree or disagree with that plan, but it's at least a plan to do something proactive to actually shut the flow of immigrants off at its root by improving the economy of those countries, right? Which then ironically improves our economy. Biden's proposal so far, zero. And Trump and the Republicans say, doesn't matter what he proposes, we'll never take it anyway, because all we want to do is hurt him.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.